Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Roots of Recovery. Our program is going to start in about 5 minutes, so if you could find your seat right now, that would be fantastic, and the show will start in actually 4 minutes from now. Thank you. Arcadia. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome and good afternoon. Welcome to Roots of Recovery. Who else is excited to be here? I'm super jazzed. What a beautiful group. It's great to see everyone. My name is Mark Wright. I've been part of this event for the past, 6 or 7 years. I look forward to this every year because Evergreen Treatment Services is part of the solution, part of the fabric of our community that's doing good every single day and has done so. Did you guys see the timeline of this organization over there in the foyer? If you haven't, check it out. Look at the people over decades. Let's give those folks a round of applause for bringing this organization to this point in time. So we're in the heart of Seattle to talk about solving some of the most challenging issues facing Seattle. Isn't this a gorgeous venue? Show of hands, who's on the Time magazine list of world's 100 most influential people? Anybody? Well, our guest speaker is on that list of the most influential people in the world. Yeah, he will not tell you he's a big deal. I'll tell you he's a big deal. 2023 Nobel Peace Prize nominee Desmond Meade is with us today, and I cannot wait to hear his story and how he fought for systemic community change and he won a seismic shift in our society. That's the story we need to hear right now as we face some of the biggest challenges that we have ever faced. So as I mentioned, my name is Mark Wright. I was in TV news for 35 years. I escaped successfully. I've had some counseling. I'm okay now. And I'm hosting a podcast called Beats Working, Winning the Game of Work. It's the best job that I've ever had. But today my job is simply to just have a good time with you here today and to connect you with this amazing organization. We're going to hear from Desmond. We're going to hear from the ETS board. We're going to hear from staff in a really cool panel discussion with Desmond today. So as I mentioned, ETS celebrating its 50th year, 50 years of providing real solutions to addiction, 50 years of literally saving lives, 50 years of helping people get their lives back. Yeah, that's worth applause. But I'm going to tell you, we're not here to celebrate ETS's existence. We all know things would be better if people weren't dealing with substance use disorder, living unhoused, or needlessly being jailed. But we're actually here today to celebrate ETS's impact, how ETS supports behavior change, supports people on their recovery journeys, and connects people to needed services like healthcare, housing, legal support, and so many more necessary services. ETS, in short, helps people get well. And that is who ETS has always been. It's who ETS always will be, so long as their services are needed. And normally I'm not a huge fan of naming events, but today we've named this event. Our theme is cultivating care. Cultivating care for ourselves, for one another, for the collective, and acknowledging and celebrating our interconnectedness. I have a farming background. I grew up on my uncle's organic farm in Ferndale up by the Canadian border, and my brothers and I have resurrected the farm today. If any of you have worked in farming, organic farming, you know that farming is not forcing nature to do anything. Farming is to create conditions conducive so that plants do the right thing, right? Can't control the weather. You can control what you put into the soil, soil amendments. You can control when you plant, you can control how you cultivate, how you prune plants. So I think it's a really great analogy that we're cultivating care. In the same way that farmers cultivate crops, we're cultivating this community. We're not forcing anything. All we're doing is collectively creating conditions that allow people to get better. That's it. That's it. It takes a group. It takes resources. It takes will. It takes determination. It takes people like you to solve these problems. Collectively, we can do it. And it's so inspiring to see all of you here. So before I invite our next speakers to the stage, I'd like to mention, man, didn't the COVID felt like just a bad dream, didn't it? Well, today, because of COVID, we've flexed some muscles. We can have a virtual audience in addition to our physical audience. So there are about 60 of you at home, and I'd love our AV staff, if you guys could pop up the Zoom viewers today. Got about 60. Let's give them a round of applause. Look at those people. And those of you who are in your pajamas, you do not have to show us the full screen. It's so great to see. And then let's show all of them at home, AV guys, if you would, this crowd, and how appreciative we are of, let's all give them a wave and say thanks for being here. All right. So I'd like to invite two board members to the stage right now. First of all, show of hands, if you've ever served on the board of ETS, could you raise your hand right now? Just anyone who in the past or currently is sitting on the board. Look at all the hands coming up there. Thank you so much for the service that you've given. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. So please welcome to the stage Felicia Salcedo, who joined the board in 2021, and my very good friend Paul Ishii, who joined the ranks back in 2017. So Felicia and Paul, come on up. Welcome.
Yes, thanks so much. Hi, everyone. Well, it's really great to be here with you all today and to see so many familiar faces. My name is Felicia. I am so proud to be on the board here at ETS. This is an organization that truly provides not only life-saving services to the most vulnerable members of our community, but really life-affirming services. And that's what's critical in the work today. Today we'll be talking about systemic changes and actions we can all take to improve health and the quality of life for all. But first I want to acknowledge the land we're on today. Western Washington is part of the ancestral home of the Coast Salish people. Today I want to thank the original caretakers of this land who persist to this day and make a pledge to move forward in ways that honor native land and respect tribal sovereignty. I also want to take some time to acknowledge folks in the room. We have people here today that influence the city, the county, and state-level politics. We need our elected officials by our side, fighting for the people that we serve. So if you're here today, please stand so we can acknowledge you. I want to start with Washington State Senator Noel Frame from the 36th District. Washington State Representative Emily Alvarado from the 34th District. King County Prosecuting Attorney Lisa Mannion. King County Council Member Joe McDermott. Seattle City Council Member Lisa Herbold. And Mount Lake Terrace City Council Member Dr. Steve Woodard. Thank you for your service and for being here today.
Thank you, Felicia. Hello, friends, supporters of ETS. Thanks for coming. Great crowd today. Thank you so much for attending today. My name is Paul, and it's an honor to be here today. And I've been a board member of ETS for about 6 or 7 years, and I just briefly want to share with you what it means to me. It takes endurance, capacity, and patience. The learning curve is steep and never ends. The staff is heroic, passionate, and devoted. It's a calling. The social services they provide are demanding and critical for our community. And last of all, it's very, very, very complicated. Now, I'd like to acknowledge my fellow board members. If I could ask the members in the audience to please stand. All the board members, if you could please stand, I'd appreciate it. As representatives of our community, thank you all for volunteering your time and for guiding the organization as we strive to deliver on our mission to transform the lives of individuals and their communities through an innovative and effective addiction and social services. Thank you. Felicia?
Okay, now we want to thank our sponsors. We have 32 business partners who have joined us this year to support the event. Yes. We're truly moved by this level of commitment to our mission, and on behalf of the Board of Directors and our more than 300 staff members at ETS, thank you for your support. I would like to specifically acknowledge our sponsors at the advocate level, Perkins Coie and Brettler Family Foundation, who are leading off at the $10,000 level. We appreciate you.
Thank you. And of course, our table captains, who are our true ambassadors of this event. Table captains, could you please just give a wave, please? And thank you.
And finally, I want to acknowledge our staff, who are the real heart of ETS. Our staff have more passion and grit than any team I've come across. They work tirelessly on behalf of the mission and are what sets ETS apart as an organization. Staff, please wave your hands so we can give you a round of applause. And with that, we hope you enjoy your lunches and the event. I'm going to welcome our board chair, Vincent, to the podium.
Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. My name is Vincent Breyer. I've been a board member since 2017 and board chair for about 3 years now. But today it is my honor to acknowledge a very important person in ETS history. It is our former board member and board chair, Betsy Wells. Betsy has been a tremendous contributor to ETS as research collaborator first, board member, board chair, and a friend for the majority of ETS 5 decades. Betsy came to ETS in 1989 as a trained psychologist and research scientist hired to run a federally funded study. She then became ETS Director of Research, a position she held for 20 years, while simultaneously working as a professor at the University of Washington School of Social Work. During this time, Betsy received multiple federal grants that allowed ETS to maintain a close working relationship with University of Washington. This collaboration also helped form the cornerstone of ETS leadership in our field, the direct and intentional relationship between research and practice. No other opioid treatment program in our state has this kind of history. Working alongside our former executive director, Ron Jackson, Betsy brought ETS into the Clinical Trials Network funded by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, a major research innovation that aimed at partnering research and treatment professionals. Contributing to the network gave ETS a seat at the table to test collaborative ideas, helping us identify the most effective treatments for people with opioid use disorder. Then as board chair, and in partnership with the former executive director, Molly Carney, Betsy was instrumental in expanding and reimagining the board, inspiring me to join as well. Her efforts eventually led to the creation of the development arm of the organization, planting the seed for our ability to gather together today. She also led the search that brought us our current Chief Executive Officer, Steve Woolworth, and who is now nearing the end of his 4th year with us. 2023 marks Betsy's last year on the ETS Board of Directors, closing out a remarkable tenure. Though she assures us she'll still be around when we need her, ETS has been graced with Betsy's presence and persistence for over 30 years, and will be forever thankful to her contribution. Betsy, we are honored to present you with an award that will be next to me very soon. It's right there under the podium. So please join me on stage. This is your award.
Thank you.
We're going to take a picture together.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where the photographer is.
You don't know where, oh, I see him right there.
Thank you.
Just 2 quick things. One, I cannot think of an organization in this community whose work is more worthy of spending 9 years volunteering. So thank you very much, everybody who's here to support this organization. And second, I agree with Felicia that the people who really need acknowledgement today are the fantastic, amazing, dedicated, professional, expert staff who come to work every day and do work that's not easy, but really important in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Betsy. ETS is lucky to have had you in its sphere for so many years. It's inspiring to see how many things trace back to you, including the fact that all of us are here today. All right, up next is Steve Woolworth, coming up on 4 years as CEO of Evergreen Treatment Services. This man has led this organization through some very difficult times. A global pandemic that we're still feeling the ripples of. Some of you may be aware that ETS was also the victim of a ransomware attack this past winter that had the network down for weeks. During both of these unprecedented crises, thanks to Steve's leadership and the ingenuity of the team, ETS never had to shut its doors. Staff persisted, serving the community, and now he is helping us look to the future to reimagine the next 50 years. This man leads with heart and with integrity. I've seen it firsthand. Please give a warm welcome to Steve Woolworth.
Ransomware attack. Until a few moments ago, Mark, I had conveniently repressed that memory, so thank you for that. It is great to see so many of you in the room today. I know I speak for all of us at ETS when I say this level of community support is both moving and deeply appreciated. I want to extend a deep thanks and gratitude to our event team, led by our Vice President of Philanthropy and Communication, Tavia Rhodes, for organizing this event. Despite the hyped powers of AI, this event was put on by real people doing real work, so thank you. Speaking of work, yes, we are 50 years into our mission of transforming the lives of individuals and their communities through effective addiction and social services. While growth is not a strategic goal for us, we do expand as the needs in the community require us to do so. So it should come as no surprise that when I tell you in the last 10 years, we have tripled in size as an organization. The second hardest thing we do after being on the front lines of the worst affordable housing crisis and fatal drug overdose in our country's history is managing accelerated, if not explosive, organizational growth as we try to keep pace with the unrelenting human needs we encounter every day. I want to provide a brief view of our current scale as a healthcare and social service organization serving the population in our community most in need of services. Currently, there are more than 330 of us working across 10 locations, 9 of which are in King County. We have just under 3,000 patients in active evidence-based opioid use disorder treatment in our 3 clinics and mobile dispensary, representing 230 different zip codes. Over 900 people have started treatment with us this year alone. While the average length of time in treatment is about 10 months, something that has been decreasing in the age of fentanyl, some remain with us for many years and sometimes decades. With the largest street outreach team in King County, this year alone we have already served over 3,400 unsheltered individuals. Since January, we have served 869 clients through the evidence-based lead diversion program, with care management services lasting on average of more than 3 years per client, with documented reductions in recidivism and increases in housing and improved well-being. So far this year, we have served 287 clients through our jail reentry services, helping folks secure housing, employment, and support services. We have 60 clients currently enrolled in our highly intensive VITAL program that serves high utilizers of system resources like jails and emergency departments, with documented decreases in recidivism, increases in housing stability, and treatment engagement. This year, we have supported 116 clients in accessing permanent housing, with 177 clients in active care management services with our housing staff. We also operate street drop-in milieu services in Belltown, where we have about 350 people who visit us per week. I could go on, but I hope that gives you a sense of our current scale, reach, and impact. And while there is definitely overlap of the individuals who are enrolled across our range of programs and services, we are on pace to serve more than 10,000 unique individuals this year, many, and in some programs, the clear majority, representing Black and brown communities. So please know I am not invested in further politicizing already adversarial conversations about public health and safety in our communities. But what I will say is that amidst the back and forth of the blaming and the shaming, we, like our community partners, keep showing up each day and doing the work to support folks in need of services. And when we show up, we are not just keeping people alive, we are not just meeting people where they are at, we are not just reducing harm, although we do all of those very important things, but as I described earlier, we do so much more than that. And it all starts with showing up again and again. The courage, commitment, and conviction in this organization is incredible and it's inspiring. But we've reached a place where we need you all to show up along with us. And this brings me to our speaker. Because amidst a backdrop of division and discord, we need visionaries, we need organizers, we need mobilizers and motivators. As our collective capacity to see ourselves in others starts to diminish, as I believe it has, a little dose of inspiration can go a long way to keeping us awake and alive to what is possible. And let me state as forcefully as I can, people do recover. It may not always look like we want it to, and it may not always occur on the timeline of our choosing, but people can and do recover a sense of health and well-being in their lives. We see it and walk alongside it every day. Desmond Meade is a formerly unhoused, returning citizen who overcame many obstacles to eventually become president of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, chair of Floridians for a Fair Democracy, a graduate of Miami-Dade College, Florida International University College of Law, a Ford Global Fellow, a 2021 MacArthur Genius Fellow. Recognized by Time Magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2019, Desmond presently leads efforts to empower and civically re-engage local communities across the state and to reshape local, state, and national criminal justice policies. His work has resulted in being named the Floridian and Central Floridian of the Year in 2019. As President and Executive Director of FRRC, Desmond led a historic victory in 2018 with the successful passage of Amendment 4, a grassroots citizen initiative which restored voting rights to over 1.4 million Floridians with past felony convictions. Amendment 4 represented the single largest expansion of voting rights in the United States in a half a century and brought an end to 150 years of a Jim Crow-era law in Florida. Desmond has spoken before national organizations such as the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops and was part of a delegation to the United Nations where he gave testimony regarding disenfranchisement in Florida. He was chosen as a game changer by Politic 365 and is author of the 2020 book, Let My People Vote. It is definitely one of my life's great honors to welcome to the stage 2023 Nobel Peace Prize nominee, Florida's favorite son, Desmond Meade. Let the spirit move you.
Good afternoon. Is it afternoon yet? Is this? That's great. Thank you so much, Steve, for that introduction. You did get me a little hype with that one. Florida's favorite son. I love that. I'm gonna put that on my car when I get back home. Well, I was telling some of the staff yesterday that, you know, getting ready to come here to speak with you all this afternoon took me back to the days when I was a kid and I was anticipating going to Disney World or the night before Christmas where I was tossing and turning and I couldn't sleep because I was just so excited about either going to Disney World or opening up my presents. Well, I felt exactly that same way a couple nights ago when I was getting ready to come here. I was just so excited to be in your presence. And when I spent time with the staff and some of the board members yesterday throughout the day, I understood why I was excited. And so I have been thoroughly impressed by the work that's being done by Evergreen and Reach, and it has really moved me in ways that you probably would not ever fully, well, I would not be able to fully articulate. But I want to start out by just saying thank you for the experience, the board, staff. You guys are amazing, and I'm taking what you've done to me and taking it back to the rest of the country. And so there were a couple of things that, you know, Steve, for the past, few days, what are you going to speak about? You have your speech ready? I mean, every 5 minutes he was asking me, right, what was I going to speak about? And I told him, no, I haven't written it yet. And then some folks coming in was like, man, we can't wait to hear your speech. And I was like, I can't wait to hear my speech either, right? And I'm a person that typically does not write speech. I like to feel like the vibe. I like to feel the energy. And probably, I guess the best way to sum it up, I like to let the Spirit lead me. You know, because Spirit leading me is a big part of my life. In August of 2005, I found myself standing in front of railroad tracks in South Florida. And that day, it was the lowest day in my life, the darkest day in my life. Right? I was homeless. I was addicted to crack cocaine. I was unemployed. I was just recently released from prison. And the only thing I owned were the clothes on my back. And it was one of those hot and humid days in South Florida where, I mean, you could just stand still and you're going to sweat, right? Like crazy. And I used to tell folks that it was so hot that day that I actually seen a dog chasing a cat and they were both walking, right? But no, I really did. I'm not telling you this for a laugh. It really did happen. But for a few moments, I was actually able to block out that oppressive heat and humidity. Because as I stood in front of those tracks, the predominant thought that was going through my head was how much pain I was going to feel when I jumped in front of an oncoming train. And I was ready. You know, I was ready to end my life. You know, I didn't have any self-esteem. I didn't any kind of hope. I didn't see any proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I stood there thinking that I was a disappointment to my family and my friends and thinking about how my parents did not raise me to be that position, but there I was that day. And I stood there and I waited and I waited and I waited. I was thinking about all of the things I failed at and didn't excel and all of that. And just, I was ready. You know, and you know, I'm a big guy, but I'm a wimp and I'm scared of needles, right? But even the thought of the pain that I was going to have to endure when that train crushed my body was not enough to make me move. And so I stood there and I waited and I waited. I was ready. But thankfully, God wasn't ready for me yet. And he held that train up. I was standing in front of railroad tracks, one of the busiest railroad tracks in South Florida, where trains came every like 10 minutes. But that day, no train showed up. And I crossed those tracks and I walked a couple blocks further and I checked myself into a treatment center again, right? Because it wasn't the first time, it wasn't the second or even the third, it was my fourth. And I went into an in-house program for 4 months, and after graduating that, I moved back into a homeless shelter again, because it wasn't the first or second or third time that I've been in a homeless shelter. But while there, I thought that, man, maybe I'm lucky because I didn't die that day when I was standing in front of those tracks, and I needed to do something because I didn't want to experience what I've been experiencing for quite a number of years, and that was a relapse. You know, I would stop using drugs, and my life would start to improve, and something would happen to cause me to pick up a drug again, and the next thing you know, I'm right back where I started from, or even worse. And I was just tired of that repetitive cycle, and I felt that if I relapse one more time, the next time I'm in front of those railroad tracks, I won't be as lucky. And I didn't like that. And so I wanted to do something to try to figure, maybe if I raise my self-esteem, maybe I won't relapse. I don't know. I'm working the steps. I'm going to meetings. But I wanted to do something else, and I decided to enroll in college. And I did real well, and I ended up, getting an AA and an AS in paralegal studies, and an AA in pre-law, and then eventually a Bachelor of Science in public safety management with a concentration in criminal justice. The joke on that was that when my professors encouraged me to continue my education and pursue a bachelor's degree, I didn't know what to choose, but then I seen one that said something about criminal justice, and I figured since I had a lot of experience getting arrested and a lot of experience appearing before judges and being incarcerated, maybe that would parlay into classroom success, and it did, and I ended up graduating with highest honors and eventually getting into law school, and in May of 2014, I graduated with a law degree from Florida International University College of Law. Now, if someone, when I was at those railroad tracks, would have approached me, right, pleading with me, Desmond, don't jump. Please don't jump. Because in a few years, you're going to be able to get these degrees. In a few years, you're going to be able to meet the President of the United States, not once, but twice. Desmond, please, my brother, don't jump. If somebody would have approached me and pleaded with me, my brother, please don't jump, because your life is going to be transformed, and you're going to lead an organization, and you're going to be sitting in boardrooms with mayors and commissioners and elect all kinds of elected officials. Don't jump. Desmond, please, my brother, don't jump. Someone would have approached me and begged me not to jump in front of that train, because eventually I would have probably led an effort to restore voting rights to 1.4 million people with a previous felony conviction. Or tell me, don't jump because you're going to be named one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Don't jump. If someone would have approached me and told me that if I didn't jump, that eventually I'll be named a MacArthur Genius and have my organization nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, the first question I would have asked him was, where did they get that good dope they smoking? And I would have probably put him in a headlock, and he would have had to take me to that dealer that's giving him that good stuff. Because there is no way that you could have convinced me, homeless, addicted to drugs, a rap sheet a mile long, that in just a few short years, these things would happen to me. It's impossible. It's impossible. I say that because I'm here to let each and every person in this building know it's not. It's not. That we can actually repurpose that word impossible and make it I'm possible. I'm here as a living example of what can happen when there is a commitment to advocating on behalf of the least among us. I'm here as a commitment, as an example to show you what happened when you're committed to empowering the people that have been most weakened by various systems of oppression or racism, or even that narrative that say that some lives are just not as valuable as others, especially if they're addicted or especially if they've been incarcerated. That narrative that says that those type of people will not amount to anything and they're all nothing but a drain on my society. I'm here as living proof that very same people that even me, myself, used to look down upon are the ones that's going to lead us out of the issues that we deal with today. They are exactly the ones that's going to transform our communities. They're exactly the ones that will become the most influential people in the world and have an impact not only in your city, but in your state and the country and even the world. And then I'm also here today to remind folks that, because you know what, no matter how nice we may dress, no matter how nice our cologne or perfume may smell, or maybe the size of our bank accounts, that we all face obstacles. I used to think that my calling was, to help people that was less fortunate, that I went through the things that I went through so I can be able to help people who was less fortunate than me. But then I later understood that, no, it was to help everybody. It was even to help people that were probably more fortunate, because we all are human. We all make mistakes. We all have obstacles. We all have challenges. And I'm here to talk about how, no matter what obstacle is in front of us, we can overcome it. For people who have lived experience like me, who were unsheltered, who may have at one point or probably may still be addicted to substance such as alcohol or drugs, to know that you should have hope and believe that you can overcome these challenges. For folks with other challenges, I want to let you know that, yes, you can overcome this, because if that guy on the stage who went through all of that stuff could overcome it, then I sure enough can. But the biggest thing I want to share with you all is something that I just was continuously reminded of yesterday when I was hanging out at Reach, and this morning. And it's about the biggest change that we can make is learning how to love. Now, some of you all might look at me and say, oh, I know about love. I've been in love a few times. There's a whole lot of things that I love, right? But no, I'm not talking about that commercial love. No, I'm talking about true love. You see, it's easy to say you love someone that confers a benefit to you. It's easy to say that you love someone that makes you feel good, right? It's easy to say you love them. But the love that I'm talking about is the love that you have for people that pisses you off, or people that you may even despise, people that you may even be afraid of, right? How can you love them? You know, as a person of faith, that's the love that I was taught that was most important, right? That was the love that was most substantive, to be able to love the very same thing that you fear the most or despise the most. I'm not talking about pity. I'm not talking about empathy. I'm talking about love. You see, that was the power that drove the work that I did in Florida. Right? When people thought it was impossible to pass a constitution amendment to restore voting rights, the people who've been incarcerated or convicted, all of the experts thought it was impossible, especially doing it in a very divisive political climate in the middle of a divisive state. When people thought it was impossible, we showed that it was possible, and we did it because we powered ourselves with love. We didn't use hate, we didn't use fear, we used love. And that love is such a powerful force that it forces us to really re-examine how we're even looking at society. So people were not seeing a criminal. People were not seeing someone that they despised. What they were looking at when they went to vote for Amendment 4 was someone who they loved. Love was what drove that movement to being able to accomplish the impossible. And it taught me that love can do so many other things. I think that's a sign. I think that's a sign. I really do. And understanding that when I even look back at my life, right, when I look back about when I was living in the street like worse than an animal, right, and the things that I did to myself, and I was in and out of treatment centers, and I was in and out of shelters, the one thing that I always like point back at was that there were people in those shelters, there were people in those treatment centers that loved me until I learned how to love myself. In spite of the fact that I may have been doing something that was negative, in spite of the fact that I may have been doing something that may have been destructive, they saw my humanity. They saw my humanity. And that's what they loved. And I remember talking about in my book when I was going to bed at night and throwing my clothes, my shoes under the bed. So then the next morning when I get up and have to put on my shoes, I got to get down on my knees to get the shoes from under the bed. And since I was already down there, I would pray. And my prayer was very simple. I prayed, number one, for people who I thought were my enemies and were out to hurt me, that they would get to experience the love that I've experienced with my connection with my higher power, who I choose to call God. I wanted my enemies to feel the love. The second thing was for my family, and the third thing was for strength, stamina, wisdom, discernment to do God's work. And his work was very simple, just to give back. Even the people less fortunate than I was, or people that maybe had more than me. But the key thing was that when I was on my knees way back when, guess what? I was praying for each and every one of you all in here. Now you may ask, how in the hell could you do that? You didn't even know us. I didn't have to know you. I didn't have to know any of you all to pray for you, to love you enough to want the best for you. Because I knew your humanity. I knew your humanity. You're saying, Desmond is up here with this pie in the sky type talk, right? Who the hell did Steve get to come here to tell us about this pie in the sky and this Don Quixote type adventure that he's on, saying, that is crazy. I can't love my enemy. I can't love someone who I've never met. But we do. But we actually do. You're riding down the road. Steve is riding down the road. And you guys who know Steve know Steve. He is riding down the road and he runs across an accident. There's someone laying on the ground and Steve decides to get out of his car. You decide to get out of your car. You decide to get out of your car. You definitely get out of your car and you run up to that individual who's laying on the ground. I promise you, your first question is not going to be, did you vote for Donald Trump? It's not going to be, did you vote for Joe Biden? It's not going to be, what's your sexual identity? It's not going to be how much money you make. It's not going to be, what's your immigration status. In that moment, when you run across that person that's laying on the ground, your question is going to be along the lines of, are you okay? How can I help? It's in those moments that humanity is beautiful. It's in this moment that our country, our community is beautiful. It's in those moments that we instinctively react out of love for each other. It's in those moments that all of those things that divide us just dissipates. And all we see is a person's humanity. And what greater sign of love than the willingness to give up your own life? We've seen that in 9/11. We've seen that at the collapse of Surfside. In moments of calamity, we're even willing to jeopardize our own lives to save someone else who we don't even know. And so if we're willing to give our life to a stranger, then how come we cannot love them every single day? Why do we have to wait for a calamity? Why do we have to wait for a crisis? I believe we don't have to. I believe that we can tap into something that is inherently inside each and every one of us and make sure that we are approaching people, whether they're on the street, whether they're in the prisons, whether they're in a treatment center, that we can look at them through the eyes of love and compassion and understand that we are connected with them in so many different profound ways, and it's not them versus us, it's not those people, it's us. All of us, that we are a community, and just like a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, if we want to be great, it's not a president that's going to make us great again. It's our ability to love each other as we would want folks to love ourselves. Thank you.
I'm going to have you keep that, and then just have a seat over there. Wow, yeah. Hate to be the person who follows that. Oh, wait, it's me. Desmond, thank you. What an amazing example of human potential. This is one person who said, I'm here. I'm available. Oh, my God. Desmond, thank you so much. Next, I'd like to have 3 ETS staff members join Desmond on stage to be able to just have a conversation with him. Hector Herrera, Tamara Witherspoon, and JC Vega, please start to make your way up here. Each one has a very unique perspective to share, so as they make their way up to the stage here, I'm going to introduce them. Hector Herrera is the East Precinct and True Blood lead supervisor at REACH, originally from El Paso, Texas. Come on up, you guys. He's been with REACH for 6 years. Previously, he project managed a supportive housing program for adults with co-occurring disorders. He lives in Tacoma with his wife and daughter. Tamara Witherspoon is going into her 3rd year working as at ETS as the Office Support Services Supervisor at the downtown Seattle location. The thing that excites Tamara about working at ETS is having the opportunity to serve and support clients in an unconventional way by cultivating a stigma-free, warm, welcoming environment for those seeking to build stable lives for themselves. And JC Vega, Milieu Program Manager. After experiencing the impact of having a family member with a mental health diagnosis, JC was persuaded to work in social services, leading him to understand more about mental health, substance use disorders, and homelessness. JC believes every human life deserves housing, access to health care, and to be heard and served with dignity. So just wanted to make sure your mics are on. Hector, why don't you kick things off for us?
All right. Desmond, I was thinking more, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Just thinking about how you talked about loving those people that fear and detest us, those people who divide us. In this current climate, there's a lot of hostility towards unhoused persons and people who live with addictions. Like, how does REACH and ETS, how do we build those relationships with those people that don't agree with what we do and build solidarity with our clients at the same time?
So that's a great question. Thank you. I think that, there's a perception that people do not agree with what you do, right? And a lot of that have to do with probably just language, right? Because what I've seen, and, in Florida, it was always this, this thing that only certain people are going to be supportive of our efforts and other people would not be. The thing that we know, and these are just like pure facts, is that 1 out of so many families experience someone who's come in contact with the criminal justice system. 1 out of 3, I believe. That number increases when you talk about experience someone who had some type of substance abuse issues, right? And then we know that there's also numbers that talk about the high degree or the high number of families who are just one paycheck away from being homeless, right? And so with all of those things going into place in America, especially with the United States infatuation with incarceration, that there's so many connecting points that bring everyone together, whether you're conservative, whether you're progressive. People, listen, substance abuse is not political, right? Like I said, when I was arrested, when I appeared before judges, neither one of those individuals asked me if I was a Democrat or a Republican, right? And definitely the drugs that I was using didn't care either way. And so I think that it's really trying to figure out how to have conversations with each other, and instead of speaking at each other, really speak to each other and connect where we can connect. In Amendment 4, we was able to connect around something very simple. It didn't matter what part of Florida we was in. I always asked the same question. And you know what the question was? Do you know someone who you love who's ever made a mistake? It's just that simple, right? And it does two things. It finds us a common value to rally around and to coalesce around. And then the other thing it does, it takes it away from being about those people, and now the issue's about someone who I care about. And I promise you, in almost every household, you're going to find someone in that household that can touch on one of those 3 areas.
Thank you so much, Desmond. I just want to extend a thank you from ETS and from myself for you coming all this way just to meet with us and share your story with us. So as we are starting to read over your book and learn more about your story, for me, it prompts thoughts of resiliency and how much it has taken for you to be able to kind of keep pushing forward, keep digging, keep pursuing to try and create a better life for yourself. Can you share with us what the turning point was for you to make better decisions for yourself, to try and create a better life for yourself and your family?
Wow, that's a great question, right? And I almost think it's a trick question, right? Because one thing I've learned in recovery is that you never really know when that thing happened. All you know is that maybe months later, you react differently to something, and then it dawns on you, man, wait a minute. A couple months ago, I would not have reacted like that, right? And so I don't know exactly when the change happened. But one of the things that I can say was really a pivotal point for me was actually 2 things. Number one was when I crossed the railroad tracks, and I asked myself if I would have died that day, how many people would come to my funeral? And the answer was 0. And even in the best case scenario, maybe I would have had 5 people, 4 or 5 people show up. And it really made me question the significance of my life. What have I done with the time that I've spent on this earth, and has my life been that insignificant that only 4 people would have gave a damn if I died? And so that was very powerful for me. And I think the other piece was, actually tapping into a joy that I never knew existed, even though I was chasing that joy all my life. And it was just simply really discovering what my purpose was in life, right? That, when I look at nature and how everything in nature takes a little and give a little, to really discover that that's what my purpose was that no matter what station I was in, whatever I got, I had to give some of that back, and to pay it forward. And in doing so, I realized that, my life and all of the bad things that happened in my life became worthwhile if it was able to help one person.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Oh, this is work. Okay, perfect. Thank you, an honor and a privilege to all of you. Yesterday, when we were at a round table, and there was a lot of words, and one of the words that stick to me was narrative. And narrative and are powerful. It can be powerful. And how do you feel people in Florida and elsewhere have adopted the language of returning citizen?
How did I say the last part?
Adopted the word returning citizen.
Yeah, so that is, let me tell you, and I don't even know if that's the best term. I really don't. And I know that throughout the country, there have been other attempts. Like one of the ones I like the best is justice impacted people, right? Because I think at the heart of it, right, and when we was talking about narrative the other day, what I was saying was the words that we use so casually have such deep consequences to it, right? We heard that if you call a child stupid, they're going to grow up thinking that they're what? They're going to grow up thinking that they're what? There you go. And so what you think happens to a person that you continue to call a felon or a convict, right? You increase the likelihood of them actually recidivating. And then with these words, we dehumanize people. We really do. And I'm not saying that we do it intentionally, but we do. When someone is a felon or someone is a convict, or even if someone is, in one of the cases, we just do an extra word in front of them, right? Call them illegal. Once we put illegal there, they're no longer as human as they were before, right? And so these words have very powerful consequences, and we wanted to get away from using these words, those derogatory words, because guess what? Who benefits from people going back into prison, right? Who benefits from people going back into the streets or going back into addiction? No one benefits from that. And so everything that we do should be tailored in a way to create a more an environment that's more conducive to successful reentry, right? To successful rehabilitation, right? And anything we do other than that goes contrary to what we claim that we're for, and that's public safety and a better world and all those other things. And so returning citizens was just one of the attempts to change the narrative a little bit and to humanize people who've made mistakes, because we all really have made mistakes. And I think the only difference between a person like me and other people was that they just didn't get caught, and I did.
Thank you. What else is to be done to the work that you're doing? What else is to be done, and what is the next step for your organization and yourself?
So I think the next step for my organization, I think, is a challenge that I am giving the entire country, right? I believe that if we can get people to love who they despise the most, then they're going to be capable of loving everyone, right? And so, and I have to say, matter of fact, I'm cutting into my book signing time, but I'm willing to make it forward at the back end because this is so important. This really is. Thank you so much for that. Any of you guys ever heard of Michael Vick, football player, right? And Michael Vick went to prison, and he went to prison for doing what? Dog fighting, right? I don't know if you guys ever been to a dog fight or even seen it or maybe its equivalent is a cockfight, right? Right, where these roosters, they get these talons, these blades, and they fight each other to the death. Dog fights are like that. They're vicious. They're violent. There's a lot of blood, guts, and gore, right? It's a really horrific scene when these dogs are fighting each other to the death, right? And I always ask people this question: how many people got mad at the dogs? How many people got mad at those vicious, violent, destructive animals? How many? Nobody. What they got mad at was the person that created the conditions for those dogs. What they got mad at was the person that trained them. You know what their response was to the violent animals? How can we find them loving homes? Their response to violence was not more violence. Their response to violence was love. Was love. We want to lock them up and throw away the key. We want to create all these obstacles because they're violent so they can't get the services that we know deep down inside they need to successfully reintegrate, because we're mad and we're angry. Who loves crime? Who loves being a victim? And so we are angry. But I know as a parent, when we respond to our children with anger, that's when we become abusive. But that's how we're responding to people in our community, with anger instead of with love, understanding that that love is what they need more than anything else.
I wish we had more time. Thank you so much. Let's give this panel a big round of applause. Hector, Tamara, JC, and of course Desmond, thank you so much. Thank you. Awesome. Nice job. Nice job. Thank you. So as he mentioned, he'll be right over there signing books. Let my people vote in just a little bit when the program wraps up. Right now, I'd like you to turn your attention to the screens. We're going to focus on another staff member today. This is someone that I've known for a number of years, David Delgado, who has his own story of transformation. So please check out the video right now.
Is that enough?
Yeah. Okay, so then it's just us talking. You don't have to worry about looking at the cameras.
Yeah. How about don't even tell me when it turns on?
How do you tell people what your work is? How do you describe your job?
Oh, I hope you have a lot of time. It gets confusing. How do I tell people about my job? I tell people that I'm a crisis worker, just to summarize for people that don't really know why. But in reality, I'm just a social worker that has adapted community organizing to my practice. So when you're a social worker, like if you're applying for any social work job, you're probably going to be asked the question about self-care, like what do you do for self-care? When I have a really hard, stressful day and I'm dealing with angry cops and the client that I'm really trying to help is like yelling at me and I'm just like this, then I go to the gym. And when I have someone like on my back and he's trying his best, I am not thinking about that cranky cop, or it's just like the whole world tunes out and I could just focus on this one thing. You want to be surprising, you don't want to be predictable, but you still want to make the best possible move. So like kind of like life is like that. So I'm homeless. Okay, I have these resources, I have these opportunities. What's the best move? This is my situation. And a lot of times the best move is not orthodox. I was born bilateral club-footed. The doctors questioned whether I walk normally. Not only did I start walking normally, but I really like watching Bruce Lee. So right as I was learning how to walk, I joined a martial arts school. I was the New York State champion for Taekwondo. I got a gold medal from the US Cup. I tried out for the 1992 Olympics and actually almost made the team. And I was homeless when that happened. I came from a domestic violence household. It was like, you know, I'm in the house, I come home, then he throws me back out the house. So it was like a back and forth, and eventually I just left. In my mind, I didn't think of myself as homeless. I wasn't being treated like I was homeless. People didn't look at me when I walked down the street like I was homeless. It wasn't until I hit my older teens I started growing facial hair. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, what did you do? And then all of a sudden, people are looking at me like I'm going to steal from them or something. And it was just like, I don't know, I think that's when the identity thing started sinking in. Because when you become homeless, you lose the status of student, or you lose the status of being like that baseball teammate or the church member. And next thing you know, people start to just associate you with homelessness, and you're stuck with that identity. I was homeless for a long time, but I didn't know what it felt like to be homeless until other people started looking at me with those eyes. And I can't explain that look, but every homeless person knows how people look at them. The West Coast, one of the first things I did was I found a youth center and, you know, just a place to play chess. But I started teaching a lot of chess, and it kind of turned into a thing. I made friends with some of the counselors, the staff there. But they offered me a job. I took the job and I became a youth counselor. Months later, my supervisor started questioning my notes because I could barely write. So she pulled me aside, we had a long talk. That's when she kind of really learned my situation. She understood that all my schooling was between 3rd grade and 7th grade, and that's it. And she told me that, look, on your resume, you said you went to college, so either you tell me you're starting college now, or you need to leave. And I started college. Not only did I start college, but I went and got my master's. My life is going really good right now, and I have a lot to be thankful for. I've been working in Seattle as a social worker for over 20 years now, so I've been working a lot of different agencies. 2019, I started working at ETS. It was the first time that I can sit with an executive director that I was working with, and I can speak to them unfiltered, and I felt like we had the similar values. They wanted to know how to make the community better. As a social worker, I'm trained to walk around, I meet an unhoused person, and then I try to figure out what needs they have, and I try to match those needs. In my mind, I'm like, what if I just did that to the whole community? That church has needs. That 7-Eleven has needs. Once you start meeting their needs, then when you start talking to them about the unhoused person outside, and then, hey, this is a better way to interact with this person, people are way more apt to listening to me. The city wanted to put a tiny house village in the university district, and the businesses did not want that. They were afraid that it would attract more unhoused people, because they're calling me and they want the people out of the alley. So once I started explaining, look, if you want this person out of your alley, I need a place to put them. So once I explain how a tiny house village will benefit them, how it will literally make your front door cleaner, all of a sudden they're like, oh, maybe we do need a tiny house village. I just think it's easier for everyone when it's not just thinking this one social worker is going to solve the community problems. No, the community needs to solve the community problems. But we're not doing normal outreach anymore. We're not just working with the individual, we're working with the individual and the community. And we're producing much better results that way.
And that's the work. That's the work that ETS does. David Delgado is here today. David, please stand. David and I used to roll at the same Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, and I have personally been on the receiving end of his ability. It's not too fun, but he's good. Keep up the good work. You're awesome, man. All right, let's pass the mic to another familiar face. Hayden Wartiz is back for a 6th year. Hayden came to know ETS through her work at Aurora Commons, a partner organization serving many of the same neighborhoods experiencing homelessness along Aurora Avenue. Hayden Wartiz, come on up.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Desmond and ETS staff and David for sharing your story. We are so inspired. And Desmond, thank you for your charge. And as the one that gets to ask us to participate and give, I'd love to add that I found that love multiplies what we think is possible. So I'm excited to see that in the room. And I also know, like many of us, I came today feeling a bit more heavy than hopeful. This summer, I lost a family member to fentanyl. I currently have a family member in recovery. At Aurora Commons, we've lost more beloved neighbors this year than ever before to overdose and the impacts that long-term life on the street has to a body and a soul. I know we all feel it, no matter our position in life. The tragic increase of unnecessary death weighs heavy. The long and winding road of recovery weighs heavy. The impact of homelessness on our neighborhoods and our small businesses weighs heavy. And that unexplainable look David mentioned that our unhoused neighbors experience on a daily basis weighs heavy. No one person or organization can tend to the weight of these social wounds alone. We have ETS doing incredible work to save lives with 300 plus staff, and they cannot do it without us. They can't do it without us. True healing, individual and societal healing, is a communal effort. And you know this because you are here. So on this 50th anniversary of a proven community lifeline, may our collective giving speak louder than ever before that there is hope amidst this heavy load. And the load is so much lighter, it's doable, it's possible when it's shared. By giving, we join in the truths lived out through ETS, that every life matters, people can change, and our community will thrive when there's opportunity for everyone to heal and grow and live. Are you with me? Okay. This is a hybrid event, so there's a couple options for giving. Folks on Zoom, we know that you are with us, and there will be a link in the chat for you to give. There's also a QR code in the materials that were mailed to you. So let us know in the chat that you're giving so we can just join and build the excitement. And in the room, your table captain was given a packet with numbers. So raise your numbers up high if they haven't been distributed. Get those distributed. Check the corner. Make sure it's your name, that you're not giving away your neighbor's money. So see that name. And we are going to start at the $10,000 level. I mean, maybe they're okay with it. We'll start at the $10,000 level and move our way down to 50 to ensure that everyone has an amount that they can give. Maybe it feels a bit uncomfortable, but there's a place for all of us, and every gift matters and makes such a difference. So we're going to get started. And before we completely begin, I have an exciting announcement that we have local philanthropists, Matt and Ev, who are somewhere up front with us, who have made a donation in honor of our 50th anniversary of $50,000. Matt and Ev, there you are, thank you. Dear friends of Chloe Gale, who's been with ETS for 27 years, thank you so much. What a way to begin. That is a long way helping us to our goal. So we're gonna start the giving at $10,000, and another suspenseful pause. We do have a friend and supporter on Zoom that is starting us off at the $10,000 level. I will raise my paddle in their honor. Woo! Let's let them hear it. And is there anyone else who would like to jump in at this incredibly generous level? We always have a bit of an awkward pause in case there's someone else to join in. All right, one more round of applause. I know a few more folks will be able to join at this next level. ETS provides a broad array of services in the community, like David, in outreach, and in our clinics, like Tamara, following a harm reduction approach. Staff aim to provide continuous support no matter where people are on their journey to recovery. This continuity and mutual trust that follows is where the magic happens. Who's up for joining that magic at the $5,000 level? Do you believe in magic? Anybody? I don't want to leave you out. Anyone thinking about it? Feeling the spirit? Okay, we're going to get some soon. We're going to get more soon. This $2,500 level, we'd love to talk about relationships. Our recovery support services start with relationships. We honor the autonomy of each person and support recovery goals based on their individual needs. For people with mental health and substance use challenges, medical conditions, or other vulnerabilities, we work to ensure that their needs are met holistically. This includes primary care, case management, housing support, mental health services, and more. Who will join in this relationship building with a gift of $2,500? Hello, thank you. 597, thank you. 477, thank you so much. Woo! There's another one. We'll keep it going. 341, thank you so much. Woo! You caught on. That is the rest of our jobs, is to clap and keep the energy going. I've been with you all for quite a few years, so I know that giving often erupts at this next level. So let's bring it in for the community. At the $1,000 level, we would love to share about an innovative program that's hitting the streets 6 days a week to bring treatment to where people are. I see a 598. That was for 2,500. 1,000. Oh, we're doing 1,000. Okay, great. 598 for 1,000. Treatment in Motion offers medication dispensary services for folks that maybe it's a huge barrier for folks to come to the clinic daily. This is also expanding. We'd love to tell you it's expanding to Thurston County. Let's get more of those $1,000. Yes! 319, thank you. 323, thank you. 492, thank you. 307, thank you. 317, thank you. 430, thank you. 432, thank you. 602, thank you. I was ready for that explosion. Yes. 313, thank you so much. Woo! Woo! 337, thank you. 350, thank you. 585, thank you. 318, thank you. 314, woo, thank you. Look at this 50th anniversary, okay. Whew. Take a drink of water, give your neighbor a high five. Let's keep the energy up, we're getting there. Housing is a human right, and it's essential in the long-term recovery of our neighbors. We know people are more likely to recover when they are safe, and that means having stable housing. ETS works with patients every step of the way to help them access living situations that meet their needs. A gift at this level will continue this important work like accompaniment. Who's with us? $500 for ETS. Okay. 335, thank you so much. 349, thank you. 543, thank you. 357, thank you. 310, thank you. 412, we see you in the back, thank you. 303, thank you. We got another one popping up, 511, thank you. 583, thank you. 540, thank you. Woo, we're not done yet. 415, thank you. 354, thank you. 576, thank you. 607, thank you. 534, thank you. 306, thank you. 622, thank you. I love when y'all wear me out. 551, thank you. 367, thank you. 421, thank you. 584, thank you. 603, thank you. 417, 647. Thank you. 642. Thank you. Woo! High 470. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's keep going. 250. Let's keep the momentum. 250. Let's see them high. Woo, 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 woo. All right. Stay with me. Let's give them an encouragement. 316. Thank you. 383. Thank you. 593. Thank you. 600. Thank you. 574. Thank you so much. I walked right by you. 498. Thank you. 411. Thank you. 624. Thank you. 626. Thank you. 619. Oh, 618. I did not say 619. 618. 476. Thank you. 513. Thank you. 484. Thank you. 471. Thank you. 542 and 463 and 507. Thank you so much. 578. Thank you. 531. Thank you. 496. Thank you so much. 562. Thank you. This is incredible. 365. Thank you. 305. Thank you. 460. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yes. What is this doing? You know what this is doing for ETS. 456. Thank you. 302. Thank you. 393. Thank you. 380. Thank you. And then we have 419, 304, 539. Thank you all so much. 483. Thanks over there. 340. Thank you. 571. Thank you. 311. Thank you. Woo! 117. We're not going to forget you. Thank you. And 503. Woo! Take a breath, and we're heading to 530. Yes. 346. Thank you. 467. Thank you. 457. Thank you. 617. Thank you. I think this is called some positive peer pressure. Woo! All right, let's head to 100. $100 gift to ETS. Woo! 420. Thank you. 533. Thank you. 414. Thank you. 339. Thank you. 379. Thanks so much. And we have 587 and 535. Thank you so much. 452. Thank you. 308. Thank you. I see 388 and 567. Thank you. 528. Thank you. 321 and 500. Thank you. 453 605. Thank you. 536. Thank you. 385 and 537. Woo! One big round of applause. One way we are wrapping up. We thought it'd be fun for our 50th anniversary to offer a $50 level. We're not going to read each number. If you're up for $50 to ETS, if it's your first gift, or if you'd be willing to add it onto your total, lift your card and we're just going to collect them. We're just going to sweep up any card that's lifted and count that as a $50 donation. So staff will come around and grab your card. It will not be read aloud. Anyone can just end with a bang, $50, and we're going to grab your card. Staff, I see a couple over here. Thank you so much. Any other 50s? I see some in this table toward the back. Woo! $50. All right, you all are amazing. Thank you for staying with us. A couple details. If you'd like to make a donation via check or donor advised fund or a gift of stock, you can do that at registration. And there's also envelopes if you'd like to give a private donation. Registration can take those for you. One more round of applause. It's an honor to witness this stunning community. Thank you so much. Mark.
How about a round of applause? Check, 1, 2, check, 1, 2. There we go. How about another round of applause for Hayden Ortiz? Thank you so much, Hayden. All right, in just a couple of minutes, we will have our grand total. Also on your tables, you'll notice we have some small bonsai trees that you can take home with you. We hope this tree will remind you of a moment today when you felt moved and inspired. A moment where you felt that impulse to take action, and may that impulse to act grow just like that plant. We also have some plants around the room that are up for auctions, so please take one of the plants home with you. Also, please join me in thanking our keynote speaker one more time, Desmond Meade, for that amazing presentation. Thank you so much. So Desmond will be right around the corner signing copies of his book, Let My People Vote. It's an incredible opportunity, so just around the corner to the right here. Thank you to Hayden. Thank you, board members, Felicia, Paul, Vincent. Thank you, Betsy, for all that you've done. Thank you to the ETS staff, Hector, Tamara, and JC. Thank you, Tavia Rhodes, and the entire event team for all of the behind-the-scenes work today. And a final thank you to all of our sponsors and community partners for your continued collaboration and partnership. Do we have a total? Math was not my strong suit in college, so in TV, this is when they would do this. Stretch, stretch. Just 2 minutes? Okay, talk amongst yourselves for 2 minutes. And then we will get the totals. That's awesome. $206,400. So this total does not include a donation from Suzanne Hittman, is that right? So what we didn't tell you is that we have a second donor who made a $50,000 donation. Suzanne Hittman, who has been our lead donor at this event for the past 6 years. So it's $256,400. Suzanne could not be with us today. She is Zooming in from home. So let's give her some love and appreciation. Suzanne, thank you so much. All right, super inspired, you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. Be sure to get your book signed by Desmond around the corner. Thank you so much for all that you're doing to make our community a better place. And we'll see you next year. Thanks for being here today. Thanks.